For 5 years, no one at the base knew her real name. She fixed jets in silence, hiding a secret bigger than anyone imagined. Then one dark night, an F-35 lost control in the sky, and only she could bring it home. What happened next made 2 pilots salute her call sign. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Every morning at 5 o'clock, Maya Cole walked into Hangar 4 with a tool bag in her hand. She wore plain gray coveralls with an oil stain on the left sleeve. Nobody at Fallon Naval Air Station looked at her twice. To them, she was just another maintenance worker who fixed jets before other people flew them. But Maya Cole was not just a maintenance worker. 5 years ago, she had a different name. She had a different life. She had been Lieutenant Commander Maya "Falcon" Cole, one of the best fighter pilots the Navy had ever trained. She had earned a perfect score at Top Gun school. No one else in her class had done that in 10 years. But almost no one knew this now, because Maya had buried that part of her life on purpose. She kept her old flight license in a small metal box under her bed. She never showed it to anyone. She never talked about her past. She had built a quiet new life as a technician, and she liked it that way. Quiet meant safe. Quiet meant no questions. The reason she hid her past was simple and painful. 5 years earlier, she had flown a training mission that went wrong. A senior officer named Commander Grant Walsh had given her bad orders. When the mission failed, Walsh blamed her instead of himself. He had friends in high places. Maya did not. The Navy board believed Walsh's story. Maya lost her flying status. She lost her rank. She lost the respect of people she used to fly with. She could have fought harder. She could have argued more. But the fight had drained her, and in the end she just wanted to disappear. So she changed her last name, moved to a new base, and became a technician instead of a pilot. She told herself this was fine. She told herself she did not miss the sky. That was a lie, and she knew it every single day. At Fallon, Maya worked under Chief Roberts, an older man who had served for almost 30 years. Roberts noticed something odd about Maya from her very first week. She fixed engines faster than anyone else. She could hear a small problem in an engine sound that other technicians would miss completely. She understood flight systems in a way that went far beyond normal training. "Where did you learn all this?" Roberts asked her once. "Books," Maya said. "I like to read manuals." Roberts did not believe her, but he did not push. He respected people who kept their own secrets, as long as they did good work. And Maya's work was always excellent. 2 F-35 pilots were assigned to Fallon that season. The first was Lieutenant Ben Torres, a young pilot who had just finished flight school. Torres was serious and hardworking. He treated the maintenance crew with respect, because his father had also served in the Navy as a mechanic years ago. The second pilot was Lieutenant Commander Eric Vance. Vance was skilled, but he was also proud. He liked to remind everyone around him that pilots were the real stars of the base, and mechanics were just support staff. He was not cruel on purpose. He simply did not think about how his words landed on other people. One afternoon, Vance walked past Maya while she checked his jet's landing gear. "Careful with my plane," Vance said with a small laugh. "That jet costs more than your whole life savings, I bet." The other technicians laughed nervously. Maya said nothing. She had heard worse things before, back when she was still flying. She finished her check calmly and walked away. Torres saw this happen. Later, he found Maya alone near the tool shed. "You didn't have to just take that," Torres said. "You know more about these jets than most pilots I've met." Maya gave him a small smile. "It's not worth arguing, Lieutenant. I just do my job." Torres nodded, but he did not forget what he saw. Something about the way Maya spoke, calm and sure, made him curious about her. He started asking her more questions during his pre-flight checks. Maya always gave clear, smart answers. She explained fuel systems and radar systems like she had studied them for years, not just read about them once. 2 weeks later, the base held a large training exercise called Desert Hawk. Pilots from 3 different squadrons came together to practice combat flying over the Nevada desert. Both Torres and Vance were flying in F-35 jets during the exercise. Admiral Karen Blake, a senior officer known for her sharp eye, came to watch the training in person. On the 3rd night of the exercise, something went wrong. Vance's jet lost its main navigation system while flying at high speed over rough desert terrain. His radio signal was weak and broken. He could barely hear the control tower, and the tower could barely hear him. His fuel was also running low, giving him only 20 minutes before he would need to land or risk running out completely. The control room went into a state of controlled panic. Officers checked maps and fuel numbers. Nobody in the tower had deep experience with this exact kind of system failure. They needed someone who understood the backup navigation controls of an F-35 at an expert level, someone who could talk a pilot through it step by step, fast, under pressure. Chief Roberts spoke up. "Sir, Maya Cole knows these systems better than anyone on this base. Let her try." The tower officer, a colonel named Diaz, looked doubtful. "She's a technician, not a controller." "She's the best chance he has," Roberts said firmly. Diaz had no better option. "Get her on the radio. Now." Maya was called into the tower within minutes. She sat down at the radio without hesitation, her hands finding the controls with a strange, practiced ease that surprised everyone watching. "Lightning 2-1, this is tower support," Maya said, her voice steady. "I hear you're on backup systems. Talk to me about your current heading and altitude." "Heading 090, altitude 4,000 feet, Vance answered, his voice tight with stress. "Nav is dead. I don't know exactly where I am." Maya looked at the radar screen and quickly understood his position. "You're northeast of the base. I'm going to walk you through the backup compass. It will lag behind your turns, so you need to turn a little early and hold steady until it settles." Vance followed her instructions closely. Slowly, his jet began turning back toward the base. Colonel Diaz watched with growing surprise. The instructions Maya gave were too specific, too confident, too skilled for someone who had only read manuals. "How do you know these exact steps?" Diaz asked her quietly. "Training," Maya said simply, not looking away from the screen. As Vance's jet came closer to landing, another problem appeared. A small private plane had strayed into the flight path without permission. Radar showed the 2 aircraft were on a path to cross dangerously close to each other. "Lightning 2-1, traffic ahead, same altitude," Maya said immediately. "Turn right to heading 270, right now." Vance turned exactly as told, and his jet passed safely behind the smaller plane. The moment was tense, but it worked perfectly. "That was a textbook evasive turn," Diaz said slowly. "That's not something written in a basic manual. Who taught you that?" Maya paused for just a second. Then she gave up hiding. "I used to fly, sir," she said quietly. "A long time ago." Vance's jet touched down safely a few minutes later, his wheels rolling smoothly onto the runway. The tower let out a collective breath of relief. But the questions in the room had only just begun. Admiral Blake, who had been listening to the whole exchange from the back of the room, stepped forward. "Miss Cole," Blake said, "what is your real name?" Maya stood up straight, old habits returning to her body without thought. "Lieutenant Commander Maya Cole, ma'am. Call sign Falcon. Former pilot, Strike Squadron 9. The room went silent. Chief Roberts stared at her in shock. He had worked beside her for months and never guessed the truth. Admiral Blake's face changed slowly from surprise to something like recognition. "Falcon," she repeated. I remember that name. There was an investigation, years ago. A mission that went wrong under Commander Walsh. Yes, ma'am, Maya said. Walsh was removed from service last year, Blake said. For unrelated reasons. During his review, several old files were reopened. Including yours. The evidence did not match his story, Commander Cole. It never did. Maya felt her chest tighten. For 5 years, she had believed no one would ever look at that old case again. She had accepted the loss as final. I did not know, she said softly. The paperwork was slow, Blake said. But it is done. Your record has already been cleared. You simply were never told, because no one knew where to find you. Vance's voice came through the tower radio again, calmer now after landing. Tower, this is Vance. I want to know who was on that radio. Whoever guided me home just saved my life. Colonel Diaz looked at Maya, then answered honestly. Lieutenant Commander Maya Cole. Call sign Falcon. There was a pause on the radio. Then Vance spoke again, his tone completely different from before. The Falcon? I heard about a pilot with that call sign back in flight school. They said she had the best instincts anyone had ever seen. I thought that was just an old story people told to scare new pilots into working harder. It's not just a story, Colonel Diaz said into the radio, still watching Maya with wide eyes. She just talked you through a system failure and a mid-air collision risk in under 10 minutes. I've been in this tower for 12 years. I have never seen anyone handle it that fast. Torres, who was flying nearby and listening on the same channel, broke in next. His voice was quiet at first, almost like he was thinking out loud. Wait. Cole. Falcon. That's her. That's actually her. Then his voice grew steadier. Falcon, this is Torres. It's an honor to fly the same sky as you tonight. Other voices began joining the channel, pilots from different jets who had been listening the whole time without saying a word. A young lieutenant spoke up next. Falcon, this is Rook 4. We studied your old training videos in flight school. Never thought I'd actually hear your voice on a real mission. Maya sat very still at the radio console, her hands resting lightly on the controls. She had spent 5 years trying to disappear, and now her old name was moving from jet to jet across the dark desert sky, carried by voices she had never met. Torres spoke again, his voice turning formal and clear. Falcon, you have my salute. A second later, Vance's voice returned, quieter and more sincere than before. Falcon, this is Vance. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I judged you before I knew anything about you, and that was wrong of me. You have my salute too. More voices followed, one after another, short and simple. Falcon, this is Hammer 2. Salute. Falcon, Ghost 1. Salute, Commander. Each call was brief, but together they filled the radio channel like a slow wave rolling across the desert night. In the tower, everyone stood still, watching Maya as the pilot's words settled over the room. It was a small moment on the surface, just voices on a radio. But for Maya, it felt like 5 years of silence breaking open all at once. Her eyes filled with tears. She had not allowed herself to cry in a very long time, and for the first time since the day she lost everything, she let them fall without trying to hide them. Admiral Blake placed a hand gently on Maya's shoulder. Commander, it's time to decide what happens next. Your rank can be restored. Your record is clean. The choice is yours now. Maya looked out through the tower window at the dark desert sky, where the lights of returning jets blinked steadily as they lined up for landing. I don't want to go back to flying combat missions, ma'am, Maya said after a moment. But I don't want to hide anymore either. What do you want instead? Blake asked. I want to train people, Maya said. Pilots and mechanics together. I spent years fixing jets and years flying them. I understand both sides now in a way most officers never get the chance to. I think that's worth more than another mission. Admiral Blake studied her for a long moment, then nodded with quiet approval. I think you're right, Commander. I'll make it happen. 3 months later, Maya stood in front of a new training class at Fallon, no longer wearing plain gray coveralls. She wore her restored uniform, with her old call sign patch back on her sleeve. In front of her sat a mixed group of young pilots and young mechanics, learning side by side for the first time under one program. Torres sat in the front row, now assigned as her assistant instructor. Vance, who had asked to join the very first class as a student, sat near the back, listening carefully, no longer proud in the old way, but genuinely humble. Chief Robert stood near the door, arms crossed, a small proud smile on his face. He still could not quite believe that the quiet technician he once supervised was the same legendary pilot people used to whisper about in flight school stories. Maya looked out at the class and began to speak. A jet cannot fly without the people who fix it, she said. And repairs mean nothing if no one understands how to fly. For a long time, I thought I had to choose one side of that sky. I was wrong. Today, we learn both. A young mechanic near the back raised her hand. Commander, is it true you used to hide your call sign? That you worked as a technician even after you were a real pilot? Maya smiled softly at the question. Yes, that's true. I was afraid, and I thought hiding was the safer choice. But hiding only protected me for a little while. It did not heal anything. What healed me was people finally seeing the whole truth, and choosing to stand with me anyway. Vance raised his hand next, a little hesitant. Commander, can I ask something too? Why did you forgive me so quickly, after everything I said to you? Maya thought about the question carefully before answering. Because holding on to anger would have kept me stuck in the same place Walsh kept me for 5 years. I did not want that anymore. Forgiving you was not about you, Lieutenant. It was about setting myself free. The room stayed quiet for a moment, everyone thinking about her words. Then Maya clapped her hands once, breaking the silence with a small smile. Now, enough talking. Let's get to work. Pilots, I want you under an engine in 10 minutes. Mechanics, I want you in a simulator seat right after that. Nobody graduates from my class without understanding both sides of this job. The class laughed and rose from their seats, gathering their gear. Outside the window, 2 F-35 jets took off together, engines roaring as they climbed into the clear morning sky. Maya watched them rise, feeling something settle inside her that had been missing for 5 long years. She was no longer hiding. She was simply home.